IAB Tech Labs was, rolling out specifications and stuff, and we all are in ad ops, some people are engineers. One of the most important things is whenever a specification is rolled out, everybody reads it in their own way and builds things their own way, and then integrating these solutions together to actually monetize something takes more than 6 months, right? So the view that IAB Tech Labs came up with is how do we actually make this fast and efficient to actually take these standards and then have people implement according to the specifications, not put their own meanings to it, but will be able to also validate that their implementation is correct and can interface and integrate with other parties, right? And that is where we started building tools. And I'd like to introduce Brendan, Melissa, Mayank, and Shelly. These are product managers from IAB, and we've been working religiously for about last 1 year, building tools like RTB, OpenRTB Validator, right? So maybe Pubmatic implements OpenRTB, Rubicon implements it, or AppNexus implements it. But when you're integrating between SSPs and DSPs, there are minor things that do a hit or miss, and then you have discrepancies and revenue issues. So building a tool which basically validates the protocol to make sure that whatever you have implemented actually works, right, and is doing what it is supposed to do is very important. Now, it has taken actually the integration time from something like 3 to 4 weeks to a week because people already have validated their RTB integrations, right? Similar to it, when we talk about the whole ecosystem, it's not only publishers and DSPs. We also have advertisers, which actually have studios which create creatives. Now, when you build a creative, and right now we are using multiple devices. You use tablets, you use mobile phones, you use desktops even today, right? But going ahead, we'll have Apple Watches, Google Wear, and so on. So when you want to reach your audiences, you create a creative. You basically try to generate an experience. You want to figure out whether it will show up to the user across multiple of these SSPs, DSPs, other integrations, server to server, client side, and so on. Will the creative actually show up properly to the user, right? Or will there be issues, right? Will there be any issues with expanding it, actually tracking it, seeing whether it is viewable or not? So IAB created a tool which actually validates the creatives that you create across multiple, I'd say servers, as well as integrations which are server side as well as client side, to make sure that any creative you create, you don't get into an issue later on with discrepancies, but you make sure that the creative is actually showing up when it should, and it's reacting to the user's input the way it should. So another tool that IAB has been working on, we rolled out HTML5 specifications, right? Now, when we talk about HTML5 specifications, you can build different kinds of ad units, experiences, but are those relevant to the kind of devices that you're using it on? So again, IAB built a tool which actually takes your HTML5 creative and validates whether it will show up properly, the sizes are proper, the interaction is proper, and so on. So it makes the ad ops life much more simpler rather than tough. You basically launch it, somebody will see it on the publisher's page, 2 days later will figure out it's not working as expected, you'll send emails back and forth, 2-3 weeks to actually fix something, all your IO goes down the drain, right? So how do I make it much more efficient? Before you start it, how do we use tools to actually make sure that everything works so that when you deploy, you make your ad ops settings and so on, the tool and the whole ecosystem starts functioning and you have revenue flowing. So very important things when you talk about tools out here, because it helps the industry to be transparent. Everybody's participating out here. When I talk about the mobile test tool, companies like Google, Mopub, Pubmatic, Millennial Media all have implemented their own, I'd say, plugins so that you can test them without actually using them, right? So you can put it on the website and you can test it out across all of these platforms directly. And then most important thing, we were talking about ad blockers, right? There are different ways to track whether an ad blocker is active on a browser, right? So IAB has come up with another tool which basically detects whether the ad blocking is active so that you can use it for any purpose you want, like maybe show a message, maybe don't deliver content depending upon your usage, but more importantly, track how much the user is telling you about whether they like the ads on your web page or not, right? So you can then use the lean principles to actually make your advertising more effective on your website. So I'll just end my monologue out here on the tools that we are building, but I'd like to thank the product management team of IAB actually working for last 1 year to build these tools. And you'll see a demo after our fireside chat. Thanks.